Hey, hello everybody, and welcome also for some new people I saw. And as you can see, it's Tuesday. I'm wearing the same sweater as last week. And today we're going to talk about a subject that was requested by some people about comping. So about like accompanying a soloist or accompanying a singer. And there are a lot of different things to talk about, like voicings, rhythm, maybe even rubato playing with singers. So, of course, you have to use your imagination because there's no soloist, no singer. Um, but let's just pretend we're accompanying somebody with a bass player and a drummer. So let's say we're accompanying a saxophone solo or a trumpet solo. So maybe let's first, later, I want to also show you about the blues and rhythm changes. There was also a request for the comping. But let's first maybe just take a standard. That could be maybe nice to work on for comping. So a standard that a lot of people like to play in schools is, for instance, like There Will Never Be Another You. There was also one in the top 10 of one of the years of the entrance exams. Hey Nick, how are you? Okay, so I'll just first, I'll pretend there's a bass player and there's a drummer and there's a saxophone player playing the melody. I hope you have also a lot of imagination. Okay, there we go. So maybe next time I will also use like a play along, but now we just do it all by ourselves. Let's say the melody is finished. So, okay. Sebastian, yeah, no, oh, that was it. Okay. So, what I try to show you is a little bit from a lot of different things we can work on. It's like, of course, the rhythmic aspect, the melodical aspect. So definitely, it's like the top notes and how to connect them. Also, some harmonic aspect, like using approach chords, or like even like chromatic passing chords. And also another important thing for comping is like working on a lot of different voicings. So maybe as you heard, I try to use like the drop two voicings, the fourth voicings, and the upper structure triads. So maybe let's first look a little bit at the voicings. Important thing about comping is to use two hands. That sounds like dumb, but actually a lot of times people who are like kind of in a starting state, they sometimes even comp only with the left hand. But it looks strange if you only use one hand. We have two hands, so let's use them. So a very simple thing to practice is like the normal left hand voicing you have. Let's say E flat major with the 9. Just divide it over two hands. So let's say if we put the B flat from the left hand on top. So you could say like do the left hand two voices, the right hand two voices, or the right hand 3 voices, left hand 1 voice. So we have to imagine this bass. Yeah, that's already a great thing to work on, like actually 4-note chords divided over 2 hands. And later if we add the root, then we have this typical 5-note voicings to practice. So one exercise I will show you, and also I put a lot of PDFs later on the website, as you can see. So let's practice 2-5-1 with 5-note voicings. The left hand 2 voices, right hand 3 voices. And if the left hand has the 1-7, then the right hand needs at least a third, plus 2 color notes, or the other way around. Let's practice 2-5-1, in this case in E flat. So start with the position, left hand 1-3, right hand needs 7. We could add the 9 and the 5 maybe, or the 9 and the 11. Okay, then the next is the B flat 7. Or E flat major. So major 7 or 6. That's already a good exercise to practice in 12 keys. And also there's another position, so instead of starting with the left hand 1-3, we start with 1-7. So right hand 3. So 3-5-9. Maybe here. Dominant. So there are some variations possible, especially on the dominant. You can work on 9, flat 9, sharp 9, 13, flat 13. Maybe even like flat 5 could be cool. Maybe let's say. That's the exercise I used to do also. I'm still doing soon again with the group lessons in the school, and it's really great to work on your 5-note voicings. Okay, if we get rid of the root, then we have this 4-note voicing I just talked about. So instead of the with the top note, you can make a lot of variation. That's up to you, the melodic aspect. Okay, quite related to this would be to use the drop 2 voicings. That's actually a subject you can study your whole life. There are so many possibilities, and it's, I think, one of the most difficult voicings. So let's build it up like systematically, how to practice the drop 2 voicings. Oh, wait a minute. There's a question. It's a 4-note voicing drop 2. It's quite related. Yeah, so actually if we have this, it could also be a close voicing. And then the second one from the top. Yeah, so it's kind of related. It's a drop 2 with the root, maybe. Yeah. Hi Hogne, it's about comping, and we start first with explaining some different voicings. Later I wanted to talk about rhythmic aspect, a melodic aspect, harmonic aspect, and then also maybe even like rubato playing, like accompanying singer. Okay, so let's work a little bit on drop 2. So we stay with our tune of today. There will never be another you. Okay, we have E flat major. So to build up the drop 2, you use the close voicing. So let's say E flat major 7. In this case, I have now actually the root. Good work. Or let's start first with the one with the root. So the E flat in the right hand, we drop 1 octave. Then practice all the inversions. Okay, now we can go to the one with the 9. So the F from the right hand goes to the left hand. Okay, so that's that's a really good thing to practice. Basically every chord in all the inversions. Let's see if there's some question. Would be nice if there would be some exercise routine internalizing drop to playing harmonized melody. Yeah, maybe we can even cover a little bit of that later. Yeah. Okay, so then the next step with the drop 2 is kind of keeping the middle voices and only moving the outside voices, so the bass and the melody. So let's say if we have this E flat major with a 9, it's a diatonic movement. Okay, that's a good thing to practice. So let's say in this tune, if you have the F minor, on minor these things work actually always best. So let's say. So oh wait a minute, there's a difficult question. I think would you take major, minor, dominant? Yeah, of course you have to practice all the different type of chords. So like on a dominant we have a lot of possibilities. So let's say if we work on a dominant, we always have the choice of like flat 9, flat 13, or flat 9, 13, or 9, flat 13. So the dominant has the most possibilities. For comping, I think it's also good to practice the altered scale. So let's say we have this. So again, G altered. So let's say we work from this chord. So this is a great line to practice for the altered scales. So then we skip to D flat. That one I also have on the PDF, so I'll show you because voicings to immediately hear it's quite difficult. Okay, and then the next step is what anyway we should talk about is the Barry Harris exercise. So that's the diminished sixth scale. So let's say we on the first on the tonic we use like the E flat 6. So I first practice all the inversions. So the 6 goes down. Between all those inversions, Barry Harris inserted diminished chords. So in this case, it's D diminished, F diminished, A flat diminished, B diminished, which are all the same. It's just inversions. So okay, so then the whole scale will be. Yeah, and that one is good to practice in major and minor. So minor would be. And the good thing is, if you practice the major and the minor scale with the 6, that already also covers actually also the minor 7. So C minor 7, same as E flat 6, and maybe even like A flat major 9 is still the same scale. So let's say. actually like 3 chords you already cover with that one. Same with the minor 6. Can also apply for half diminished. So you have E flat minor 6. And maybe even A flat 7. So that's a good one to practice also if you want to be more comfortable with the drop 2. What is the passing note harmonization? You mean the diatonic one? That was to use the notes from the scale? Sebastian asked the question, do you also use F minor 7, A flat major 7? Yeah, of course, then it's a different harmonization. Eh? The Barry Harris really works with the diminished chord, but of course we can also you can always move chords diatonically in scale. So let's say here. Yeah, that's actually a good question. Otherwise, we always start with the diminished. So you can do that. Yeah. So that's also a good question from Evelyn. It's a different technique, but definitely sometimes nice to use is also the drop 2 and 4. Yeah. So the same principle. If we have again our E flat major with the 9, let's say. So then we drop the second voice and the fourth voice. That's actually also a really nice voicing. So. Yeah, that works great on like if you have a chord with a lot of thirds. So and then the B flat and E flat will go down. So. Yeah, that was also one of the masterclasses from Barry Harris. He used only this voicing in a parallel movement. That's great also for endings. So let's say we're. Sounds quite hip. Yeah, but it was Barry Harris. Okay, so another thing to practice with drop 2 is just make actually kind of standard connections for 2-5-1 or 5-1, because this is great to practice systematically, but if you want to do this all in 12 keys, it takes a lot of time. So sometimes it's good to have kind of prefab ideas. So I'll show you just a few that I use a lot. So 5-1 maybe first, G7 altered to C minor. I already kind of showed this one. Yeah, so there's some variations on the similar thing. So let's. By making variations, it keeps fresh. You don't have to play every time exactly the same. So let's practice a few 2-5-1 patterns. Maybe the simplest one. Let's say going from the 9 to the flat 13. Yeah, B flat minor in this tune to E flat 7 to A flat. So you see the melody is nicely connected in a chromatic way. So. You see like variations going from the 9 chromatic down. That's a good one to practice. And what I just showed is actually also cool is using actually the tense. So like practicing arpeggios in tenths. So instead of only playing. It could be as complicated as you like, but you have to practice it, otherwise you can never do it in real time. Question, softly in the morning sunrise. That's definitely good for the movement in minor. Yeah, for sure. For minor, I have like a few options I use a lot. It's like the the one we saw actually on another session is to use the half diminished with the 9, going to the altered, going to the minor. So let's say D half diminished. So let's say we have the. So like a sequence. So you can make a really busy comping with this drop too, but you first have to practice it. Yeah. So practice the inversions, practice the Barry Harris diminished scale, practice the diatonic movement, and practice. And there was one more thing I wanted to practice. What was it? Yeah, the arpeggios in tenths. Yeah. Okay, so drop 2 is definitely a cool thing to practice for comping, and the nice thing is it's always like kind of open sound because you have 4 notes, like, but we can also go to really big chords, of course. So another thing I like the sound of the fourths. So you can all practice these voicings in a separate way. So let's say fourths. My rule is always as many fourths as possible, but there can be somewhere a third. That's my rule. So I don't know if that's a real rule, but so the first tune, the first chord, E flat major. Let's say if we first go starting on the building on the third. So we have. And it's a four note fourth chord. That's a 5 note fourth chord. If you want to have a major 7, so here we can cheat with the third, which is basically the so what voicing. Yeah, that's a cool one. So and we can also maybe let's say put the third somewhere else in the chord. This one like maybe the third not on the top. Maybe. Yeah, that's a cool one. And so, but to practice fourth chords, take any scale you know and build fourths and move them diatonically. That's a difficult exercise, but definitely works good. So let's say we found this one. Yeah, some sound better than others. This sound cool. This may be more like a B flat 7. It could be like an F minor. Maybe B flat 7. Sus chord. Minor. Yeah, so there you could try with any scale you know. Some scales sound really cool, some scales sound really terrible. Like an altered scale, there are only like 2 or 3 possibilities to sound good, but it's up to you. It's also a matter of taste. Yeah, reflection D, actually that's really good to practice the chromatic movement from these so what chords. Yeah, but the so what voicing anyway, you can use a lot of times in a parallel movement. And yeah, Jan-Willem, that's actually what I just explained. But of course, there can be the latency in the live chat. Okay, so fourth chords definitely works good also to use chromatically. Show actually like the same tune. They will let me know that you using as many fourth chords as possible. Yeah, and the Reflection in D is a Duke Ellington tune. Yeah, there's a great recording of that one interview with Bill Evans with Miriam McPartland, where he asks like, so you play A major, you play B major, G major. Do you ever play in D? And he says, no, I cannot recall I ever played in D. And then he plays Reflections in D. Okay, so another voicing I would like to explain is kind of the bigger voicings, like going to upper structure triads. But to go to that thing, what we can first do is build it up with actually only using your standard left-hand voicing and then adding one note on top as a melody. So I always kind of tell students like that are not so advanced with chords yet, just at least to use two hands, so you can just use the right hand for a melody note. Now let's say that's just like kind of suggesting that it's like kind of block chord, but it isn't. Then the next one could be to use, instead of using a single note, to use an octave that's already strong. So that could be a nice way of building it up, like from one note to an octave. Then the next one is what I always call the fake block chords. It's actually a great sound. Red Garland used a lot, and also people like Bobby Timmons. Is this octave, and then in the middle insert a fourth or a fifth. So let's say we have the same line with a G, or you see I play actually. And that's a great thing to practice. Actually, also people like Herbie Hancock, they also use that sound. Like if you have like drifting, which is a great tune to practice. Drifting from Taking Off, his first album as a leader. Definitely you have to check that one out. So this could be like, yeah, kind of fake block chords. I think the nicest example for a fast tune to use this is Billy Boy, played by Red Garland. And also he uses the same technique also sometimes even in ballads. And there's a recording of him, My Romance, in A flat. He plays this with that sound. So it's also a great way of playing the themes or melodies if you want to go octave up. So then the next step is to even add one more note, and then you have a triad. Let's say. So G minor on top of E flat major, or actually a B flat triad. Yeah, so for the triads, for the upper structures, the hard way, but of course the most systematic way would be trying out all the triads from a scale on the left-hand voicing, but I made a list from my favorite triads on specific chords. So this list of upper structures I will also put on the website later. So that's a nice thing to practice, is like to make really big chords, is to use the triads. So like, maybe even like and that's a completely different sound than the 4-note voicings. Okay, so think about the upper structure triads. And that's also could be a great way to harmonize even themes. And like I always used to practice, for instance, like if you take someday my prince will come. If you play the melody octave higher, you can practice this thing. So let's say instead of so take any tune you like and try to practice that. Okay, I'll see if there's some questions. Maybe later. Yeah, block chords could also work. Like basically, you have like the shearing type of block chords, or you could also say drop 2 is actually also kind of a block chord, or the upper structure triad is also kind of a block chord, as long as the rhythm is the same in the right and the left hand. But definitely it depends a little bit on the style, which type of voicing you want to play. Like for instance, fourth chords can sound really cool, of course, in modal jazz, but also sometimes what I just showed combined with other voicings in the standard. And like these upper structure triads, of course, they were good. For instance, when the solo is getting more strong and the drummer is going crazy, then you have, the more notes you play, the louder you are. That could be also a good thing to think about. Yeah, so that's a little bit about voicings, and of course there's a lot of stuff available online. But of course, first use your ears, listen to a lot of recordings, and see how your favorite piano players are accompanying other soloists. So maybe another thing we can talk about is like the rhythm. That's also important, of course. So a thing that works really good with comping is definitely like giving kind of a forward motion. So like really going for anticipated notes or syncopated notes. Oh, some of my favorite composers. That's a good question, but I think definitely like that kind of people like Red Garland, but also like Herbie Hancock, and it depends a little bit for which purpose. Like for instance, Bill Evans. If you listen to him for the like rubato and duo playing, he's great with Tony Bennett. That's an amazing record. Tony Bennett. I think there are two: Bill Evans, Tony Bennett, and yeah, also for duo playing, one I listen to a lot is Ella Fitzgerald with Oscar Peterson. That's also great. Some tunes there's Ray Brown also, but for the duo playing, that's great. So it depends a little bit of which purpose we are looking for. And I think also somebody like Kenny Barron, when he played with Stan Getz, that's amazing. Yeah, Wynton Kelly is great too, especially the rhythmic concept. Yeah. So the rhythm, what I kind of found out by playing a lot in quartets, quintets, is definitely always try to find a connection rhythmically with the drummer and harmonically with the bass player. Yeah, Tommy Fanning. Okay, yeah, there's so many good examples. So keep going with the suggestions. Great. And for modal, of course, McCoy with Coltrane, but I also really like the way Kenny Kirkland is accompanying Brent Marsalis, or even like sometimes like Dave Kikoski. There he is again. He's also great with all these fourths and the rhythmic input. Yeah. So a thing to practice to really kind of connect with the drum is definitely like forward motion with syncopated notes or like anticipated chords. And the other thing that would work really good is like sometimes stick to a rhythmic pattern, because then also first of all the drummer will kind of recognize, we hope, and also wait a minute. Yeah. Okay, so let's say if we do a blues, you have to imagine the bass and the drums and somebody playing a really nice solo. And let's say we first go for the end of 4. That's always my major thing that I really like to do. So let's say blues in F. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see, even not only end of 4, but also end of 3, end of 2, end of 1. It's all good. Always better than on the beat, I think. Sometimes on the beat, of course, also gives a kind of moment of relaxing. And maybe then the next thing would be cool is like to to stick to a certain rhythmic pattern. I think I talked about that a little bit in the blues on Tuesday with the same sweater last week. But then it was like left hand comping, but we can do also the same with 2 hands, of course. So let's say first 1, end of 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely gives this really kind of Winter Kelly vibe. Yeah, and the next one would be maybe end of 4, end of 2. That's a little bit more nervous, but it could work. So maybe just for now, I'll play a little bit bass and pretend these are 2 hands. Okay, so I'll try to do really big voices for the 2 hands. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Also good for the stretching. Ow. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so we had a one-time masterclass with Larry Goldings, and of course on the Hammond organ, maybe it's a little easy, but he showed me this really big voicings, like for one hand. Like. So that's maybe nice for stressing the right hand instead of only the left hand. Okay, that could be a nice pattern. The other one that could be really good is for instance, actually what we talked about yesterday, using the dotted quarter notes. That's sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4. Dotted quarter notes for a longer while. It can be 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, your whole life. I don't know. And we talked yesterday also about 5 and 7. That could be also a nice thing to practice sometimes for the comping. But then, of course, we cannot play little, not like what we saw yesterday. Or but maybe first go for the main accents. So let's say, yeah. So actually you make it into 5/8. So I will try to demonstrate also with walking bass. So let's say if you have the yeah. second one was the 7. And that would be one to practice, but be careful with that, because some soloists and even drummers can get confused. And the other one I used to practice a little bit with a friend of mine, a drummer. It's like using only the main accent. So play every time a chord after 5/8 notes. So it would be. See, so that that kind of feels like really off. That you're really off, but it's could be cool if you do it really strong. Yeah, so that's like a little bit about the rhythmic aspect. So definitely use anticipated notes. Use maybe some patterns that you repeat. Use dotted quarter notes, and even if you like, use 5 or 7. Okay. Any questions about this? They're still talking about the block chords. Okay. Yeah. So actually, if you want to make it more clear about the names, you could say block chords is everything that the hands move rhythmically together. And if you want to really talk about this shearing kind of thing, in a lot of books they call it locked hands. Locked hands. And so like actually main thing what they use is the 4-note chord, and the left hand doubles the melody octave lower. So let's say we have this like think of 5 saxophones in a big band. That's kind of same sound. Yeah. Yeah, that's some good suggestion. Yeah, it's also true. Like triplets, definitely cool. If it's not too fast. So let's say if you would kind of think of like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and then it's nice to start on the second note of the triplet instead of on the first. The first one would sound a little boring, I think. Like sounds like a really bad big band arrangement. Okay, and sometimes even like kind of in a grouping, like. Yeah, that's also a cool thing to check out, and it's true. Like that kind of stuff you can hear also with Miles, with Herbie Hancock, Tony Williams. Love this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, the top note melody, that's the melodic aspect of the comping. That's basically up to you, of course, if you want to make a busy melody, but sometimes also the opposite works good, like keeping the same top note. That could be a nice practice. Let's say we have again, today is only this tune. So let's say if we go for the G, maybe. And adjust your voicing then to that top note. So that's a really good thing to practice. Then of course we can think, I told before, using chromatic top notes, or like even going chromatic to the next top note, and then we can also use the whole voicing. Yeah? So if it is let's say G7 with the E flat on top, can we just G7 as written? We can also say E flat to D chromatic. So let's also try the chord chromatic. So let's say. Can we drop 2? Can we 5 note? Can we upperstructure triad? Can we red garland? So a similar line you can try to harmonize in a lot of different ways. Or it can be your locked hands. The locked hands is, I mean, it's great when Bill Evans does it on Green Dolphin Street, but it can be also super cheesy. So I always think it's Depends how you play it, of course, but a lot of times they use this in elevator music. This locked hands, like this. So be careful with that. Okay, Jan Willem, see you maybe tomorrow. Okay, yeah, playing lines in the company. I would suggest also be careful with that. And sometimes some piano players, they play so many lines that you think, is it a piano solo or is somebody singing? So sometimes you can play a line, but it can also be like kind of disturbing the story of somebody that somebody else is telling. Yeah? So yeah, just be careful with it. Especially like hey, you hear sometimes in ballads, then it can be nice because in a ballad there can be big space between, let's say, the lines that a singer sings. Then it can be super nice to play some lines. But like if it's like swinging, like medium swing or up tempo, don't do it. I think. Okay. Okay, so maybe we can move a little bit to. That's also really important aspect for comping. It's like playing rubato and accompanying singers. There are some things I found out myself by experience that work and things that really don't work. I was happy to have had the chance to play with some really cool singers and still do. And but I worked quite a lot with Mark Murphy and Deborah Brown and. But also like some really great Dutch singers like Rita Reis or Geetje Kouwveld. They're all great singers. And yeah, by playing a lot with the singers, you learn that what's important is the support you have to give for the like playing an intro, that it's really clear the key and also which tune is coming, and also which top notes you're going to use, because on a piano you can just go bah, and they have the note, but the singer has to kind of really hear the note they have to sing. So we could actually already practice, like, let's say we would play as a ballad. Spa sponsoring this. No, but I always when I talk I have to drink something. It's too early for beer. I'm sorry. Oh, I shouldn't say. Hmm? Okay, so let's say we would play "There Will Never Be Another You" as a ballad with a singer. Let's say rubato. So first thing we have to talk about is are you going to follow or are you going to lead the singer? So let's say if there's a pickup, then we have to follow the singer. If there's a gap and their melody starts on the second beat or the third beat, you have to lead. That's important because a lot of times in combos this thing go wrong. And let's say if we play like intro, I don't know. And then maybe. So when there's like a minor chord with a third on the top, for instance, or a major chord, I think then it's really important to be careful with your ninths and with your 11ths. So if I would try to mess up the singer, I would actually. So like going like a half step or whole step under the melody or over the melody. And it sounds like a joke, but it happens a lot of times. So be careful. You always have to actually know the melody, or they should give you the melody from a tune you don't know, so you can read the melody while you're comping. It's very important. And then the next part, what's important is like this leading or following. So let's say actually this melody has a lot of pickups. So almost this tune, you won't be in trouble. But a lot of times when they have a certain phrase that starts after the beat, you have to be very clear, like this is the new bar. And then what I told before that really actually helps is like find your moments where you can do your stuff. So like this is busy, this is quiet. So here we can do our stuff, and we can show off with a drop too. It's like that. And I wait again. You see, so where there's a long note in the melody with the singer, then definitely take your take your chance, and for the rest, really support the singer. That's very important, I think. So for that, definitely, it's really also cool to listen to the examples I just mentioned, like Bill Evans with Tony Bennett, Ella Fitzgerald with Oscar Peterson, Kenny Barron, maybe with some recordings. Yeah, and um, and of course, if you want to continue even like to take it to a higher level, you can already kind of think about, okay, if we're going to play rubato with the singer, maybe we can also do reharmonization, but not too far, not too far. Reharmonization, or you can even add like approach chords or like passing chords, for instance. Yeah, so actually the same thing we kind of saw with playing a ballad solo piano rubato. So the same things you can apply. Yeah? So let's say if I would also think maybe like a approach chord to the G7. And so using approach chords to the next chord and using middle voices like sus4 to the third or 9 to the flat 9. A little bit things we saw with the ballad playing. Let's see if there are any questions, because I'm just talking, and I have to show my sponsor. No, no. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Dan. Yeah. I did quite a lot of recordings with Dutch singer Ronald Douglas, and we did a lot of rubato stuff. And so, if you want to check it out, it's nice. It's all on Spotify, I think. Comping on a fast tune, that's also a good question. Yeah. So definitely, I think you cannot do all this fancy drop two stuff. Maybe you can only use like a few that you really have good in the fingers. But definitely for the rhythm, also have to be careful not to be too busy, because then easily somebody might turn the beat. It might be you, it might be the bass player. So I think always try to keep really relaxed with the fast tunes. Yeah, Fernand, that's true. That was amazing. This piano player with Ella. Yeah, thanks. And there was also one other one that you mentioned, but I forgot the name. Larkin or something? So yeah, then ask about the snare patterns of the drummer. That's actually, I think that's kind of the connection, the piano and the snare of the drummer. That's a lot of times the connection, because the right hand, left hand play time, and they play the nice accents in the snare. Yeah, but some drummers also go with the whole set, like really, it's a very heavy accents. But definitely, it's also a matter of style. But sometimes it's really cool that the drummer, his snare is connected with the piano, and for the rest, he's kind of keeping the time. Yeah, yeah. The faster the tempo, you have to be more careful, and you have to also try to keep in control. So like you could do really difficult stuff, like what we talked about, sevens and fives and dotted quarter notes for a long time. But it's still called comping. So actually, it means trying to help somebody, so to give some support. And so then I also like when it's like fast tempos or difficult form or whatever. Then I like also when the drummer kind of really clearly states like a new part of the form. And a lot of times nowadays drummers, they kind of don't want to play the one anymore. I don't know. So it's really nice if sometimes also when it kind of it's getting to look like somebody's going to lose it, that the drummer really clearly, paf, here we are. But it's not a masterclass for drummers, but that's my opinion. Yeah, so let's say if we do really fast tunes, maybe like. And so, like, let's say one thing I mentioned yesterday is maybe thinking of playing accents every 3 beats. Maybe like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then always like at a certain moment there has to be also like some release, like not the whole time busy. So sometimes also just put down a long chord, maybe like. And then even it's no shame to play just sometimes on the beat, just like maybe half notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. With some nice movement, maybe. Yeah, that could definitely work. Yeah, and it's yeah, it's a different thing than playing medium swing or ballads for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Any more questions about comping? It's actually a really important topic because, as one of my former colleagues, Rob Magna, said, is everybody's concentrating on this really nice solo that they're gonna shine. I don't know, like 2 minutes in the tune, but 80% of the time, actually, piano players are playing the comping for somebody else. So actually, we should work more on comping than only playing solo. And definitely, it kind of increases your chance on the market to play in bands. Yeah, fast tempos. Actually, yeah, the best would be to feel in 2, and some people even when it's really fast, even feel like in 1, so only per bar. And it kind of definitely helps you to stay more relaxed. If you think like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, it's already kind of making you nervous even before you play. So you could also think like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So even like maybe even practice like thinking the 8 notes in the fast tempo are actually 16s in half tempo. That could work. Let's say if you do like. So I think actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then pretending I'm playing 16 notes, so double time. Yeah, what's definitely is a good exercise, but maybe it's too much to in real time on the concert. Is trying to play never stopping lines, just to see like if you can still connect in that tempo, still connect all the chords in a nice way. Funk, yeah, I did a little bit of funk long ago, but it's nice sometimes to play for sure. Yeah, I have a few that I like that I kind of was inspired or stole from Herbie Hancock. And that's like when he plays this clavinet stuff, like on the old records. There he has all these really nice ghost note things, and but I think it was really nice to first kind of use it as a starting point in funk. It's actually playing on the beat, strangely enough. So like if you have like I don't know, G7. so the left hand actually is kind of following up. It's kind of filling up the right hand. So it's like complementary. And also what Herbie does a lot of times, he kind of imitates like these guitar patterns from like Wah Watson, that kind of people. Like that's cool. Like, and of course, it's nice if you have a drummer and a bass for that. But actually, it's a cool style. I really like. Yeah, yeah. I also played a few times. I was happy to play with Gary Willis, with the fretless bass player who also played with Wayne Shorter. He was definitely an amazing, funky guy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I should tell this story, but actually it was about comping. I had a little kind of argument, actually more like a complaint from Gary Willis. So when he played solo, the bass solos, like the first concert, I was really amazed by what he was playing. He also used like this special technique he has, like damping the strings immediately after playing, that kind of stuff. So I was just listening, like, wow, amazing, amazing. And so I forgot to play. And then the next gig, I said, "Hey Gary, how are you?" And the only thing he said, "If you comp my solos, I will comp your solos." So that meant he liked, why didn't you play during my solos? So also good sometimes really to communicate with other people that you play with more often. It's like what they think about your comping, and if they want to have something special or if they expect something else, just talk about it, just communicate. It's very important. Yeah. And what I want to, like, sometimes of course you can still have the feeling like, oh, I'm doing great with my comping. It can be like somebody really expects something else to hear, so then it's better to talk about it than lose the gig. Sorry. Okay, any more questions about comping? Now, I hope I could give you some information about comping, which is kind of based on experience playing with a lot of people, but also, of course, by listening a lot to great examples. It's like everything actually we practice. I think we should first listen to the great players, and then concentrate on that part of their play, and that can give you ideas and inspiration to work on that. So I'll put later then the PDFs with the voicings and some about the rhythms for the comping on my website, rolfvanbavel.com/news. And also hope to see you tomorrow, and keep sending requests about topics. And I also really like, if you have any question about what we discussed in the masterclass, then please send me like on YouTube or Facebook, whatever. Okay, hope to see you tomorrow. Bye bye.